settle into the new role, how did it break down of yesterday's game go, film watching? How much were you in communication with Wes?
I talked to Wes last night right after the game. As soon as I got home, I talked to Pat as well, quite frankly. And, um, you know, it I tend to be as nitpicky as possible when it comes to the game, but last night we played a really good game. And reevaluating the game, same thing. It was a well-balanced attack on the offensive end and defensive end. I can't fault anyone's effort. Everyone did a great job. It's one of those I told the team today, the only thing that I come away with is we've shown that we can do it. So now we have to continually do it. So I'm very pleased with the way we played last night. I'm pleased with the effort. Yeah, it's just you almost want to look for things to be picky about, but I really didn't have much to be picky about. We beat a really good team last night, and we did it as a team.
Do you have any updates on how Wes is doing, or when you guys might expect him back?
I don't. I'm not hate to speculate at this point. I can just say I hope he gets better as soon as possible, and I hope he's back with us as soon as possible.
I saw this. We all saw the video last night of your locker room celebration, and it seemed like you used some of your globetrotter tricks. What was that like? That moment, I guess. Now that we kind of seen, I know you described it a little bit last night.
There's certain moments in your life that are first, that are without a doubt memorable and will stick with you for the rest of your life and in your heart. And not only for me, but for my children, for my mother, bless her soul. I can just imagine her crying tears of joy. So words don't do justice to the emotion of the moment. No matter what happens moving forward in my coaching career, that moment is one that I'll take with me the rest of my existence. And I'm just honored to have had that type of win. I mean, number one, your first win as a head coach, but against a team that I was with before, and such a strong team, against a coach that I respect so much as well. It's like, a culmination of everything you could ever ask for your first win, unless it was in NBA Finals, which I doubt I would be coaching my first game in NBA Finals. So I'm just was full of emotion. And even to this day, I talked to my brother again this morning, and I don't have the words to articulate the emotions I had last night. And I'm typically pretty good at containing those type of emotions, but it was definitely a amazing experience, and one I'll take with me forever, regardless of what happens moving forward. The emotion and the magnitude of that I do not minimize for a moment.
Have you heard from a lot of people over the last 24 hours? Anyone surprised you?
I have yet to catch up on my phone. I can tell you that. I really have tried. I'm pretty good about always responding to people, and this is one of the times where I'll still be working on it next week, probably.
There aren't too many head coaches who have playing experience like you do, college and overseas and everything like that. What perspective or advantage now that you have coached games do you feel like differentiates you, maybe, or gets you a little edge or that you keep?
Well, I think that not to get too profound, but still get too profound at the same time. I think there's a basis of wisdom in our general population that only comes from a sense of empathy. So to be able to use my empathetic wisdom when I'm working with the players or when I'm trying to communicate with them, I think is to my advantage. To understand not only what I'm thinking, but possibly what they may be thinking, and try to give them answers to questions they may have ahead of time. So that's, I like to think is my advantage of being a former player. But also, quite frankly, I think that's part of it. But, my oldest son is 27 as well. So a lot of that, I have a 27, 21, and 18-year-old. So a lot of the reiteration constantly of the exact same thing in a different way I'm used to doing. So I just feel like I'm blessed with a lot of different advantages that maybe everyone doesn't have.
So many coaches testing positive around the league. I mean, do you worry about now that I guess it would be a risk anytime you'd be on the bench, but like catching it?
Well, I just came back from COVID protocol myself, not even a week ago. So right now I'm not freaking out about it, but I can tell you, it goes back to just the magnitude of yesterday's situation. Like a week ago, I was, you know, sitting at home doing my best to embrace and accept the sovereignty of God. And now I come back and look at my situation. So,
Were you feeling all right? So,
yeah, I honestly, I think one day I felt like I had a mild cold, but then after that, I was on the Peloton at the house every day.
and you know, some people have brought up like the the fans at courtside without masks on, depending on city. Is that noticeable to you at all? Like, is that something that kind of catches your eye if you're just there around everyone?
Yes and no. I mean, for sure, it's something you think about, with all the protocols we go through. I think that obviously there's different levels of protocols, especially as we travel in different states and different things. So you wonder about those things, but I control what I can control, and the rest of it that's out of my control, I do not attempt to control.
What was it like to play in St. Petersburg, Russia? Or not necessarily play, but live and play.
Yes. I can tell you throughout my career in Europe, I've been I played multiple different countries and multiple different cultures. And I've always done my best to try to assimilate with the culture. I never try to find America in another country. I just try to embrace and learn from wherever I am. Uh, you asked about St. Petersburg in particular. I think it's one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been in my life. If you've ever been to St. Petersburg, it is a gorgeous city. I mean, the architecture, the history in the city is amazing. For me, I did find it a bit difficult. The language barrier at times was more so than other countries in which I played in. But it's a great experience. I'm like, if you guys haven't figured it out by now, I'm pretty good accepting of everything that happens around me. So I wouldn't be the man I am today without going through that and having that global perspective and understanding of the differentiation between individuals and how they perceive things. And I'm just blessed for it, because that it allows me the ability to connect with people on multiple levels, and whether it's players or people I come in contact with on a daily basis. I'm blessed because of the experience, and I one wholeheartedly embrace it.
I asked about that specific stuff because your resume, Turkey, France, correct? Greece,
Yep.
obviously, we went through that yesterday. There's no shortage of, to me, exotic places, and very few Americans get the chance to go there. So we were able to handle just the cold. For one thing.
Honestly, like I said, it's all a blessing. You look about things in your life, and I think that this goes for everyone. You think, well, if this wouldn't have happened, maybe if this could have happened. But every road I traveled, every path I took, every step I took brought me to be sitting here with you right now. You change one thing and I'm not here. I wouldn't have had the experience I had yesterday. I wouldn't have had all the things that happened and the blessings in my life. So I embrace each and every one of those things to the fullest. And I do think that I don't for one moment discount the blessings I've been able to receive in my life. Even when you think about, if this wouldn't have happened, maybe I would have been in the NBA and this and that. But you know what? I am a better man because of the road I took. And I'm very proud of everything I've done. And even my faults I'm proud of, because still I learned lessons from them. But my travels have made me the man I am and given me the global perspective I have on life, individuals. And this, you ask me questions now that quite frankly go way outside the realm of basketball. I connect with people on a completely different level because of my experience and understanding of the commonalities of all of us on a global level.
Yeah, they've obviously put a lot of focus on having all the players back and what that does to your rotation in games. How has it changed practices? Are you guys able to do things differently or do more things?
Well, we haven't had a lot of practices. As you can imagine, with our schedule, there's not a whole lot we can get done. So, and we still have had, even though we've had people come back, it's still a slow drip in, and we've had people out as we drip them back in. So we're just now getting to the point where we have a full roster during practice, but at the same time, we're at a point where the games are coming so fast that it doesn't really give us a chance to get too much done at practice. So it's really just about teaching from the last game to move forward to the next game. And a lot of that just is film, cleaning up some things on the court for sure. But I will say it's probably the easiest time is during practice because you have to play 5-on-5. So that's already 10 people right there. So it's a little bit easier in that aspect.
Did everybody go today, Coach?
Yeah.
Any questions for Coach on Zoom? No? Ooh, looks like we got one from Neil. We'll take it.
Hey, Coach, just overall, was there maybe one person or one thing that really struck out to you yesterday that you're still kind of taken aback by?
Oh, I mean, I could go down the line and tell you great things about everybody. I think TB in particular, Thomas Bryant, I think he did one heck of a job when he came in, just bringing energy and changing changing the game. Same thing with Montrez when he came in, quite frankly. But I think everyone did a great job. I think Brad, his numbers may not reflect it, but what he did on the court was super for what we needed. He made the right passes, made the right decisions, made shots when we need to him. Pope, same thing, amazing job. I think Spencer did a great job. Like I said, I go down the line. I think everyone that came in contributed in a positive way. So if you were to ask me what's the MVP of the game, I would say the Wizards.
Actually, Coach, based off your international experience, what's been your advice to international players in the NBA that you've come across, if and when they've ever been homesick or whenever they long for being home?
No one's ever asked me. I'll be honest with you. I can tell you that I've had more so the converse question where Americans are going to play overseas, and they ask me about that. And the best thing I can always say is the same thing. What helped me was when you look for America in another country, you're not going to find it. That's not America. And I don't say that to be boisterous of America, but I will say if you're looking for Italy in Minneapolis, you're not going to find it. It's Minneapolis. So to understand and embrace the culture surrounding you, that's the best thing you can do to get away from your, I don't want to say homesickness, because you're still going to, homesickness is homesickness. And quite frankly, it's a beautiful sickness to have, because that means you have such a fond feeling about where you're from that it's ingrained in your heart and soul. And that's a beautiful thing. But the only thing to do with that is also fill up your heart with things that are in the moment where you are. And that's the best thing you can do. Find things that you love about where you are. And that changes everything. And again, you talk about players, and I can't help but to answer a life question. If my kids ask me what to do when they're feeling homesick, I would tell them the exact same thing. And it has nothing to do with sports or, anyone that's moved here for work. I don't know if you guys are all from here, but if you moved here from work and you're homesick, what's the best thing you can do? Embrace where you are. Find something you love about the moment where you are. And that's the best remedy for that type of sickness, in my opinion.
All right, Coach, you are all set. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. God bless.
Corey, you guys have all your players back now for the first time this season, and you had apparently played well to stay in the rotation. What does that kind of mean to you and about the way you played it?
Well, it just means I'm doing the right things. I mean, the first half of the season is all about finding what works for you and getting into a rhythm and a routine. And I guess just getting on the floor last night was a validation that I'm taking the right steps and doing the right things. It's far from, an ending. There's still so much more work to be done. And I don't think anybody on this team is satisfied. So plenty of work left to be done, but it's just a little pat on the back along the way.
And last night, I think you made a three on the opposite end of the court and came back, and you were kind of nodding your head to the bench, like it seemed like veterans were maybe saying something to you. What kind of things do you hear from them? Words of encouragement, advice? I mean,
it's been all positive from all the veterans, and they've been, nothing but great for me. Whether it's learning on the fly or being in my ear during timeouts or whatever. I tend to be really tough on myself, and those guys see that, and they're there to pick me up. Everybody from Brad to Pope to Trez, Kuz, all those guys have been super positive with me. And so when I have a little bit of a hot streak going, they're going to feed that fire. So They're just hyping me up along the way, and the coaches do the same.
Corey, how is the way either your pregame routine or the work you get in practice or in the gym or anything like that, how has that evolved throughout the course of this?
No, I mean I think that's the beauty of it, is it hasn't really changed much at all. Maybe I've toned it back a little bit as I've been playing more minutes, just to kind of preserve my legs for the time that matters the most, which is the games. But that's the beauty of the work, is that it never changes, it never stops. You don't want to overreact. The season's so long, so there's plenty of time to self-correct and change course. And if you want to do a little bit more of this here, do a little bit less of that there. But altogether, it hasn't really changed much. It's about coming in and doing the same thing over and over again and being consistent. Whether you score 20 or you don't play a minute.
In Orlando, I got to actually sit facing the bench and watch your just like first class stank faces or like reactions when things happen. Has that always? I didn't get to watch much because I got sadly on the East Coast. Has that always been your thing?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Good faces too.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, no. Little known fact about me, I took an improv class in high school, so I got the facial expressions down. Yeah, I carried it with me. Yeah, Mrs. McCardle did a great job. So yeah, it's just her work showing through me.
What do you think has worked particularly well for you on the court lately to stay in the rotation?
Yeah, it's just keeping it simple. I know I'm not going to lead the team in shot attempts or have the ball in my hand every time down the floor, but just being super effective when I get it, making the right play, making the simple play. And the beauty about the NBA is if you don't freak out, like the read is going to show itself to you. So just with the experience comes more seeing different things, and I've been able to kind of slow down and make the right reads more times than not, and it's led to good things.
Every job has its ups and downs. I imagine it's especially acute for a rookie.
Mhm.
What was the biggest, or the toughest down that you had to overcome in the last 4 months?
Yeah, there's a couple games where traveled out to that West Coast trip. Traveled out to we did Denver and Utah and Sacramento. I mean, I didn't play in Sacramento and Utah, and I had a lot of family and friends come to those games. And when you have people coming to your games, you want to do well and you want to perform and put on a show. And of course, family loves you unconditionally. So whether I play a minute or not, they're gonna be proud of me. But just not playing in those games and knowing how much effort it takes for my family to get out to those games and watch. I wanted to make it special for them, and that was super tough. So, long flight back from that Utah game, especially, and but thankfully things have kind of turned around, and I didn't let that keep me down. That's what's most important, is when you find yourself kind of in a low, you're working to get yourself out of it.
What shocks you out of that?
Coming in here, yeah, honestly, coming in here, thankfully we have such a great performance staff that works with you no matter what and is in your corner no matter what. So just because you're down on yourself doesn't mean they are. And getting a ton of reps and feeling good about your game all over again kind of lifts you out of that a little bit. And then the family that does come to those games is always in your corner. So talking with the people that knew you before you became an NBA player and know you for who you are, kind of reminds you, what life is really all about.
How do you think Rui is assimilating into the offense? Is it reminiscent of those other days yet?
No, not quite. I mean, he's spent a lot of time off, and it's not going to come back immediately to anybody. But I mean, you saw flashes of it over the last couple of games where he's made some really, really good plays, and he's a great player, and so he's going to figure it out. And we have trust in Rui, and we're excited to see those big leaps and steps that he's going to make over the next couple of days.
Do you have much of a chance to see anything of DC? I know it's tough. It's tough as heck, given that all it's the world is on fire. that you can't really go out and see much, but
Yeah. So at the beginning of the year, I had a good stretch of time where I had a lot of visitors coming to town. And people that I know from my childhood are coming from the West Coast and have never been to DC. So doing all the classic stuff is has been pretty fun for me as well as them. So getting to do that. I haven't scratched the surface of what DC has to offer yet. There's so much to do, but I've done all the really basic touristy stuff, and it's been great. Yeah, working on it.
All right, Corey, we'll transition over to Zoom for a few questions. We'll start with Neil.
Hey, Corey, I'm curious just what the kind of focus has been on practice. A lot of guys have talked about just consistency and, trying to get that moving forward.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's been. And I hate to repeat what other guys have been saying, but we've had this habit of, taking, 2 steps forward and taking 1 step back and kind of feeling like we're doing really well. And we're making some good strides. And then we, have a bad game or, take another step back or whatever. And so it's all about building those good days and stacking them on top of each other. And, we had a really, really good team effort last night. And the biggest thing for tomorrow is to build on that and not, take that step back like we've had the habit of doing for the beginning part of the year.
Thanks, Corey.
We'll go over to Christos.
Hey Corey, hope you're doing well. How would you describe the consistency of your team in the last 5-game stretch, and how are you used to have that role and be full on both ends of the?
Christos, could you repeat the last part of your question? I didn't catch that.
You hear me?
I got the consistency over the last 5 games, but I didn't
Yeah.
catch the last part of the question.
Okay, how important for you is to be impactful on both ends with that role that you have in that game stretch in those last 5 games for your team?
Yeah, well, the team's been great over the last 5. We've been playing together, moving the ball, sharing it, and doing a really good job on defense. And it's just what you like to see. When we play as a team, we play together. We have more than enough weapons to compete with anybody. And then for me personally, I kind of mentioned it earlier, just keeping it simple and, filling in the cracks where I can, where I can. I know exactly where the ball needs to go on the majority of possessions. And that's the guys who have been here a long time and have been to all-star games and, have played in big games and stuff like that. But when the ball hits my hands, I'm open, I need to shoot it. And that's what the team, needs from me. And, I've been able to do that recently.
Thank you very much. Keep up.
All right, Corey, you are all set. Thank you for your time.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
I guess, what was it like getting cleared and returning and being able to play?
It was a process. It was it's definitely a weird one at that, from a few weeks ago being inconclusive and not actually testing positive at all and missing 3 games. And then now this time around inconclusive and then tested positive and still missed 3 games. So it's tough to kind of grasp our protocol system, but at the same time, we're doing the best we can. And, the biggest thing is making sure everybody's safe, and we're trying to do that the best we possibly can. But everything's good. My family's good. Nobody else contracted it, which is, a great positive. And I didn't have any symptoms besides sleeping a lot. So, which helped me too, because I was a little energetic yesterday. So there's nothing wrong with some rest, but I'm good. I felt good. Body feels good. No respiratory problems. So blessed.
Brad, what does it take to come back after missing 3 games for any reason and play the way you did?
For one, it's tough with COVID because there are, people who are affected, respiratory wise. Like my buddy Jason, he's had it a few times and it's affected him, So I get that portion of it. And even when I was coming back to play last time, like I wanted to take like a practice day. I wanted like a warm up day or something to get going because, you lose a little bit of win, those 3 or 4 days you don't do anything. It's not like being hurt where you're rehabbing, you're still getting some type of movement and functionality, but you're literally doing nothing. You're just resting and, trying to get out of the negatives. I mean, the positive aspect of, you know what I mean. But at the same time, it's a process. You try to do what you can and you embrace what you can. And, there's other ways of learning the game and getting better, watching film and things of that nature. But eventually, when you're think about 4 to 5 days into it, you're able to start working out. So it's always going to be a gradual increase in your coming back to play. So it's always a precautionary thing. But I mean, I felt good, and I think we managed our minutes well yesterday.
Was the second time you had to wait that time period? Was that more frustrating than the first?
Yeah, it was. Even when I had it, I mean, granted, wasn't like the last time where I'm like, well, I can be around the guys, like I don't have it, But this time around, it's like, okay, you do have COVID, and it's like you really can't do anything about it. And it's frustrating, Then you have to. It's predicated on your numbers, So you're watching your numbers every day. Do they go up? Do they go down? And it's a hassle. But we're doing everything. We're taking the necessary steps, for our league. But it's good to be back, and I'm glad I don't have to test for 60 days now. So.
Hey, Brad, for having coaches like you guys had, I know there are assistants on the staff, but is it like as players, do you have to get used to a new voice when even if it's temporary? Or like you tell the difference in coaching?
It's yes and no, because a lot of coaches, assistant coaches, when they had the opportunity to step up into the role, they audition for it. They like because it's their opportunity to show that they can take on that task and lead the team. So in a way, there are some differences of personalities, but at the same time, the voice is always coming from Wes. We always hear his message within, from Pat and from JB. Like you still hear Wes's message, but they all have their different styles. They all have different, tangibles about themselves that they implicate and that they push towards us as a team. But it's not like a big adjustment that you have to make mentally now. I mean, we develop these relationships every day, so they should be second nature when someone else steps up.
And I know the virus affects everyone, but what do you make of the half the league's coaches now under protocol?
It's crazy, right? I don't know, man. We just don't understand it. I think that's pretty much all we can kind of pinpoint. We're all doing what's necessary. Everybody's getting vaccinated, everybody's getting a booster, we're wearing masks. Maybe we need to go back to a little bit more space on the benches and people behind us or whatever. But I think we're doing everything we possibly can, without trying to kind of stick everybody in a box or a bubble again. So it's tough, it's kind of like players, next man up mentality. We have, granted, that's why you got a few coaches on your staff and some player development guys who it's another opportunity for them to showcase what they can do. So it's unfortunate in some ways, but it's also fortunate for a lot of guys and coaches, to take advantage of opportunities. G League guys coming up to play, coaches getting opportunities to coach.
Yeah, like depending on where you're sitting too, depending on the city, some fans aren't masked or anything like that. Like, does that worry you?
I never really paid any mind on that. I mean, I probably should. But I haven't really paid any attention to that. They probably could have a big impact. Granted, I guess proximity, being able to touch fans and players or whatnot. But I don't know. I think we'll probably address it as a league come All-Star break at our meeting. But we love the fans. We embrace the fans. It'll be tough to put them in a box too.
How about Rui and TB being back and playing as well as they did yesterday?
It is so great to see both of them back. One, seeing Rui, when he first stepped onto the floor, it was a happy moment for me. I was just happy that he's back into doing what he wants to do in his time. Nobody forced him, nobody rushed him. And he looks fine. He looks good. He's hooping. And obviously he's learning his teammates, and we're learning him. A lot of guys are learning him on the fly. And then TB, he just picked up right where he left off. Like he's always energy. He's always going to be aggressive. He's always going to be loud out there. He's always going to be vocal, and play hard. You know, that's what you can always expect out of him. And he gave us great minutes yesterday. You know, he competed his tail off. And Rui's just going to continue to get better and better. You know, his game is developing. You know, his versatility is there. You know, he's constantly working on his ball handling. You know, we don't know if he's 3, if he's a 4. You know, and it's gonna be tough. You know, we're trying to mix him in between the two. But you know, he's handling it well. You know, he's learning a lot of stuff, a whole new system on the fly. But I've been impressed with him. You know, he's gonna continue to get better. You know, it's great that he's around us, and he's continuing to embrace his basketball joy.
Speaking of that, now that you have a couple games with everybody back, what do you make of the balance of this roster as a whole? And how they work together, personality-wise and on court?
I'm glad I'm not the coach.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I say that in a competitive and respectful way. You know, because I understand as a teammate, you know, there are going to be guys who don't get to play. You know, there's going to be guys who don't get minutes, and guys who feel like they deserve them, and coach has to make a tough call and a tough decision if he wants to. How many guys he wants to play, how many minutes you're going to get, what are the rotations, what your role is. You know, everything's going to be. It's going to be a little tougher, but it's like a blessing in disguise to have. It's like good problems. Drew Gooden always tells me I have good problems. Like, this is a good problem to have. You know, we have so much depth, versatility at each position, you know, that we can survey different lineups, survey different, you know, groups of guys and see how they work in jail. But on the flip side of it, you know, it may mean that some guys may not play, some guys you may move on from, some guys just might not just get the opportunity, you know, or their opportunity is just a little shorter than the next guy. So it's a competitive thing in our league. You know, that's what we should want as players. You know, I think Wes said it before. He's like, I don't want you if you're not mad that you don't play. You know, and I think that's a great message, because if you don't give a damn about playing, then you shouldn't be here. Like, if you're just cool with sitting down, then you shouldn't be here. You know, so I think that's a great message, you know, to push out and receive too, you know, from a coach, you know, on that. Like, yeah, I'm going to play the best guy, and I'm going to play who I think is best for the team, you know, and it's a competitive thing. It's nothing personal. You know, it's to push to you for, you know, everybody to work on their game, get better, and show coach what they can do. So it's gonna be a challenge. It won't be easy, but I play. I don't make the decisions.
What needs to happen for your team to play with the sharpness, the energy it had yesterday? I'm not saying win by 20 points every game. That's not.
Shit, I wish.
I guess.
That's what we got to find, you know, and I think that's kind of something we've been saying all year is what's sustainable for us. What are the Wizards? What's a sustainable way of winning for the Wizards? You know, what's consistent? You know, and it's tough now because now you look at the beginning of the year, how we started, and then, you know, we started off great, then sluggish, and now we have like a whole new team. So it's kind of like almost 3 seasons already in one, in a way. And so now we're a full team, and we're dissecting, okay, who should we be? You know, what kind of team are we? You know, so we definitely elaborate what TB is able to bring, his energy, his physicality, his ability to stretch the floor. You know, so are we a fast-paced playing team? We're always a defensive-minded team. You know, that's first and foremost. You know, we need to be physical, defensive-minded. You know, then offensively, we have so much versatility. It's how do we utilize all of our weapons, and get the best and magnetize everybody's potential. You know, and that's why I'm the player, not the coach. But it's going to be. It's a challenge. It is a challenge. I'd be lying if I said it was something easy to figure out. Winning isn't easy, you know. So I think the biggest thing is consistency. How do we, like you said, bring that same attitude and approach night in and night out? Not just because we're playing Joel, you know, and it's going to be a challenge with Philly. You know, we're going to have a challenge tomorrow. We're going to have a challenge Saturday, Friday, and so on. So I think part of it is understanding what type of team we are, who we can be. Understanding what we're game 2 out of 6, maybe a little higher. So, I mean, it's right there. And it's just a matter of us kind of being more confident, realizing who we are, and pushing ourselves to be better night in and night out. And it starts defensively, always.
With nice that it kind of came against Philly because like that's the team you guys lost in playoffs. Like I guess maybe like the talent difference is a little more. You can see it more when you face the team.
From last year to this year.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's totally different. It's tough because I didn't have Matisse hounding me all night last night, so I can't. That's my guy, and I know how he feels when playing. When we play each other, it's always fun and competitive. So, from that standpoint, I'm not going to sit here and say that it was easier. That it was I guess kind of worked in our favor, but they didn't have shape. They didn't have a few other guys who were key pieces to the team. So that's tough to judge and in some ways, but at the same time to see our approach. And granted, we're a different team. I think we're a much better team. But to see our approach and our attitude towards it, like granted, Joel's been kicking everybody's tail this year, but we did a better job of not fouling him in the second half, right? And I think our adjustments that we made on the fly. This is probably the best game that we've done that. And granted, it's only going to get tougher, and granted, we get a blessing tomorrow in some ways, and we don't have to deal with a three-headed monster. But we still got two of them that we still have to try to keep under control, which is not an easy task. So the other night it was bigs having to take on the physicality. Now we got us guards. We got to step up tomorrow. So every night is going to be tough. We just got to motivate and push each other to do it. Realize, like I said, what type of team we can be. We can be an elite team, and we just got to believe it.
What do you think about the fact that JB played for the Harlem Globetrotters? We've been asking a lot of questions about that. I saw some tricks after the game. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's cool. I think it's very unique. I think if you understood the history of the Globetrotters, I think it's definitely a unique thing for him to do. And then see his journey in basketball, from being drafted, playing the Globetrotters, playing overseas for a few years. He knows the game. He's been around the game. A lot of us think the Globetrotters is something like just funny guys that know how to do tricks, but he knows the game. Like there are actual basketball players who wear Globetrotters. So, you respect that from him, and that's an awesome thing to have on your resume.
Last year, at some point, the playing game became the goal. What are your feelings about the playing game this year?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I don't want to be in the playing game. I do not want to be in the playing game. I feel like we're better than that, and there's no knock on the playing. So it gives you another chance to get in. But I think we can be better than that. I think we can be better than that. And the opportunities are in front of us, and we have less than 40 games, I think now, maybe right at 40. To be able to turn around and do it, but I don't want to be in a play-in. I'll leave it at that. I can't be in a play-in. Can't be a play-in team.
Brad, you mentioned really learning on the fly, but for this new system, how difficult is it to learn this system in season as opposed to during training?
Oh, it's tough. I'll be lying if I said it was easy. And that's why I applaud him for sure, because at the end of the day, like I said, he's doing everything within his time and his realm. So when he feels comfortable playing basketball, he does that. It's our job to make his transition into it easier, with helping him with simplifying plays. What plays does he like? What are some of our go-tos? What do we run more frequently that he knows and he can just grasp quickly? And learn on the fly. And he has a totally different role than what he did last year. He has a totally different staff than he did last year. So all that stuff is going to be tough for him. I'm pretty sure it is for him initially. But at the same time, Wes does a good job of adapting, to the players that he has, and putting us in good positions to succeed on the floor. So his opportunities are going to continue to grow. And once I think Coach learns him and learns more about what he loves and what he's capable of doing, I think he'll be very fruitful for our team for sure.
All right, Brad, we have time for 2 questions from Zoom. We'll start with Neil and we'll finish up with Christos.
Hey, Brad. I'm not sure how, when you got COVID and when you were in the protocols, affects your ability to get the vaccine, the second shot or not, but does this positive test exempt you from the February 15th deadline to be fully vaccinated?
No, I don't know. I have no idea. what's February 15th? There's a deadline. What?
The January 15th was one shot. February 15th is fully vaccinated.
Is that a city mandate?
Correct.
You see how much I pay attention to the outside
enough.
world news. I don't know if that plays a factor into it. I would have to ask our team docs because I know they have a rule like once you contract COVID, you can't get the shot after a certain amount of days. So I don't know. I hope everything is all right in that sense.
Fair enough. Glad that you and your family are healthy again.
Thank you, brother.
And we'll finish up with Christos.
Hey, Brad, how are you?
My man.
Well, to see players like Corey Kispert made a step up on the floor, Danny Avdia made a step up into a more important role on defense. What did you say about the depth of that group, the potential-wise, and how easy make your game with those two guys on the floor?
Who would you say?
Corey Kispert and Danny Avdia.
Corey and Kick. Oh, nice. Corey is our shooter, and I get mad when Corey don't shoot the ball. But Corey's excellent. You know, he played 3-4 years. Corey played all 4 in college.
Yeah.
Corey's a 4-year player, so he's a mature rookie. You know, he's not just like a young guy that is learning. Like the game is just super fast for him. Like it's moving a little slow for him. Like granted, it's still fast because it's a different pace and different game, different style. But he's able to adapt very quickly. You know, he's very mature. He's a willing learner. And Denny's the same way, but Denny's he's younger than Corey, so it's kind of flipped, you know. But Denny's a willing learner. Denny wants to get better. And I think his versatility is, one of his greatest attributes, because he can play guard, he can play forward. He's shown that he can defend, he can guard his position, guard multiple positions. So the sky is really the limit for both of them, to continue to, earn minutes, showcase what they can do. And I always say, it's just your career you're in control of, so they have, granted, they're in a great position to where they have plenty of opportunities to play, showcase what they can do, contribute to the team. I think they both handle it really well, and take full advantage of the opportunities they're given. It's just only going to continue to get better. The game will slow down for them both as they mature and continue to watch film, continue to play the game and play against guys over and over and over again. The game will slow down for them. So I'm excited for both of them in that standpoint, because Denny's a guy, he reminds me of myself when I was younger. He's always pressing. He's always down on himself. He's always, he wants to be better. He wants to be the best he can be. So I love that mentality of him. He has the work ethic. He has the mentality. We just all got to put it together for him. It's just a matter of time for it is.
Thank you very much.
All right, Brad, all set. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.